Hi everyone, I'm Kim Gi-hwan from Korean Studio. Today I'm going to stay off screen as the topic of topic and subject particles is quite extensive. And I think it's really important that I go through everything accurately. So I have prepared an 8-page script for today's video. If you're wondering what I look like, this is me. Okay, so let's get back to the script. Now, learning the use of topic and subject particles is very important when you first start learning Korean. These particles have very specific uses, and while the first step is to watch videos like this to understand the rules of how these particles are used, it is extremely important that you continue to read and listen to Korean and see how these particles are used in specific situations, as this will really help to strengthen your understanding of how these particles are used. Therefore, in this video, we're going to take a deep dive into how these particles are used. And to give you a brief overview of how this video is structured, we'll first look at the basic principles of topic and subject particles and how they are added to nouns. Then we'll look at the main way of using topic and subject particles, which is to focus on different parts of a sentence. After that, we'll look at how we use topic particles to show a contrast between things. Then we'll look at how we use these particles to introduce new information and to talk about old information. Lastly, we'll also look at how we use both topic and subject particles together in a sentence, and how these particles are used together with other particles. Okay, so we have a lot to get through, so let's begin with the basic principles of topic and subject particles. First, 은는 are called topic marker particles, and 이가 are called subject marker particles. And for the rest of this video, I refer to them as topic and subject particles. And in terms of the basic principles of topic and subject particles, both particles are used to indicate a noun as a sentence subject. However, as the name of these particles would suggest, depending on how they are used, topic particles are used to mark a noun as a sentence topic, and subject particles are used to mark a noun as a sentence subject. Now, if that doesn't make too much sense now, then don't worry, as things will become much more clear as we go through the video. Now, both of these particles have two forms, 은는 and 이가. And whether we use one or the other depends on whether the noun the particles are used with ends in a consonant, as in 받침 or not. In terms of topic particles, with the noun 선생님, a teacher, the final syllable ends in the 받침 미음. So we use 은 and say 선생님은. However, if a noun doesn't end in 받침, let's say 자동차, a car, then we use 는 and say 자동차는. To give you more examples, 학생, a student, also ends in 받침. So we say 학생은. And 책, a book, also ends in 받침, so we say 책은. On the other hand, 커피 doesn't end in 받침, so we say 커피는. And 학교, a school, doesn't end in 받침, so we say 학교는. And how we use the subject particles is the same. If a noun ends in 받침, we use 이. And if a noun doesn't end in 받침, we use 가. So we have 선생님이, 학생이, and 책이. And 자동차가, 커피가, and 학교가. So that's how we add these particles to nouns. Let's now move on and learn about the main use of topic and subject particles. Now, the most difficult aspect of learning these particles is that they have many different uses. However, while they are used in many different ways, there is one main way of using these particles. And mastering this main way of using these particles will allow you to use these particles correctly in most situations. Now, both topic and subject particles can be used with sentence subjects, but whether we use one or the other depends on which parts of a sentence you want to focus on. We use topic particles with the subject to focus on the information that comes after the subject. In English, this will refer to the predicate, meaning the verb, the verb's object, adjectives, and other information that comes after the subject. On the other hand, when we use subject particles with the subject, we're putting the focus on the subject rather than the information that comes after the subject. Let's consider some example situations. First, when we introduce ourselves in Korean to others, we always say 저는 김기환입니다. I am 김기환. 저는 김기환입니다. And the reason why we use topic particle 는 with the subject 저 in this sentence is because when we introduce ourselves, the important information is the name rather than who Kim Ki-wan is. So the important information is what comes after the subject. However, let's say that someone found my wallet in a restaurant, and the person who found the wallet finds my ID in the wallet and shouts out, "Who's Kim Ki-wan?" Now, hearing this, I would say, 제가 김기환입니다. I am 김기환. 제가 김기환입니다. Now, the English translation is the same, but the meaning of the Korean sentences is different. In this situation, the important information the person wants to know isn't my actual name. The person already knows this. This person wants to know who Kim Ki-wan is. So the important information is the subject, I. So this time we use the subject particle 가. And the pronoun 저 changes to 제 when it's used with a subject particle. Okay, so let's consider another situation. Let's say you are in a restaurant and you're about to order food. You want to tell the waiting person that you want 갈비탕. And if you're unfamiliar with what 갈비탕 is, it's a soup-based dish made from beef rib stock. It's a really good dish to have in winter. Now, to say I will have 갈비탕, do you think we would use the topic particle or the subject particle with the subject I? Now, if you're thinking topic particles, then you're thinking correct. In Korean, this sentence would be 저는 갈비탕을 할게요. I will have 갈비탕. 저는 갈비탕을 할게요. So the focus of this sentence is 갈비탕, the object of the verb. We want to tell the waiting staff that I am having 갈비탕. So we use the topic particle 는 with the sentence subject. On the other hand, let's say the waiting staff comes back with 2 dishes, but forgot who ordered what. So he or she wants to know who ordered 갈비탕. So in this situation, you want to say, I ordered 갈비탕. And since the focus of this sentence is that I, as in it was I that ordered 갈비탕, we would use the subject particle and say, 제가 갈비탕을 시켰어요. I ordered 갈비탕. 제가 갈비탕을 시켰어요. So in this sentence, to put the focus on I, 제, we use the subject particle 가. To sum up, the main way of using topic particles is to focus on the predicate, as in the information that comes after the subject. And the main way of using subject particles is to put more focus on the sentence subject. As mentioned already, knowing this main way of using topic and subject particles will allow you to use these particles correctly most of the time. But there are also other specific ways in which these particles are used. So let's now move on and learn another way of using the topic particle. Now, another common way of using the topic particles is to show a contrast between 2 things. Here's an example sentence. 저는 김치를 좋아해요. 하지만 저의 형은 김치를 좋아하지 않아요. I like kimchi. However, my older brother doesn't like kimchi. So in these sentences, we're contrasting the differences between me and my older brother. So in the second sentence, to show this contrast, we use the topic particle 은 with the sentence subject, 저의 형, my older brother. However, as well as using topic particles with the subjects, if we want to show a contrast between other elements in a sentence, we can also use topic particles with those elements. Here's an example sentence. 저는 김치를 좋아해요. 하지만 저는 김은 안 좋아해요. I like kimchi. However, I don't like kim. In these sentences, the contrast is made between the objects of the verbs, which are kimchi in the first sentence and kim in the second sentence. So to show this contrast of how I like one and not the other, we've used the topic particle in the second sentence with the object kim instead of object particle 을. So when we show contrast between objects of verbs, the topic particles replace the object particle in the second sentence. Additionally, we can also show a contrast between other elements in a sentence. Here's an example sentence. 저는 집에서 김치를 먹어요. 하지만 밖에서는 김치를 안 먹어요. I eat kimchi at home. However, I don't eat kimchi outside. So in these sentences, we're showing a contrast between how I eat kimchi at home, but not outside. And to show a contrast between two locations, we use the location particle 에서 with the topic particle 는 in the second sentence. So although the topic particle can replace the object particle when we're comparing two objects, with other particles, we use them together with the topic particle. Now, do keep in mind that when we show a contrast in everyday situation, we don't always state two sentences that contrast each other together. For example, let's say that your friend is offering chocolate to everyone, and everyone before you said yes, but you want to say no, I don't want chocolate. So in this situation, to say I'm okay, you would use the topic particle to show a contrast between you and your friends. So you might say, 나는 괜찮아. I'm okay. So the use of topic particle 는 helps to differentiate you from other friends who said yes. So in everyday situation, it's really common to show a contrast between two things based on context rather than having the two contrasting sentences together. Okay, so let's now learn the next use of topic and subject particles. Now, one unique way of using subject particles is to introduce new information. And this also relates to topic particles, as we tend to use topic particles with information that is known to people. So we use topic particles to talk about old information. Consider the following two sentences. 학교에 새로운 학생이 왔어요. 새로운 학생은 영국에서 왔어요. A new student came to school. The new student is from the UK. So in the first sentence, we're introducing new information, an unknown information to the listener, and that's 새로운 학생, a new student. So we use it with the subject particle 이. And in the second sentence, the information is now known. It's now old information. So we use topic particle 은 with 새로운 학생. In English, we indicate new and old information with the articles 아, 안, and the. And this use of subject and topic particles is similar to the English articles. Also, in some ways, the use of these particles relate to the main way of using topic and subject particles. As in the first sentence, we want to focus on the fact that a new student has come to school. So to put this focus on the sentence subject, we use the subject particle. And in the second sentence, the focus is on the fact that this new student is from the UK, the predicate. So this time we use the topic particle to put more focus on the predicate. So as I mentioned earlier, if you can grasp the main use of topic and subject particles, it will help you with being able to use these particles correctly in many situations. Okay, so let's now move on and revisit the idea that these particles are used to introduce the sentence topic and sentence subject. Now, in general, we use topic and subject particles to introduce the sentence subject. But in certain sentences, we use these particles to introduce the sentence topic and sentence subject. And the idea of a sentence having a subject is quite easy to understand, as I think it's a concept that exists in many other languages. However, in Korean, we also have the concept of a sentence topic. To better understand what this means, let's take a look at an example sentence. 빵은 내가 먹었어. As for the bread, I ate. 빵은 내가 먹었어. Now, as you can see, this sentence uses both topic and subject particles. And in this type of sentence, the topic particle introduces the topic of the sentence, and the subject particle introduces the sentence subject. When we use both topic and subject particles, the topic particle is similar in meaning to as for, regarding, or in terms of, and it's used to introduce the sentence topic. So in this sense, the subject particle is what truly marks the sentence subject. And in terms of when this sentence can be used, imagine that your older sister is upset because she had bought some food for herself, but you and your younger brother ate what she had bought. So when she asks who ate what, you want to say that in terms of bread, I ate it. Then you would say 빵은, as for the bread, 내가 먹었어. I ate, or I ate it. In English, we would just say I ate the bread. And in Korean, we can also say 내가 빵을 먹었어 and use 빵 as the object of the verb. But in Korean, we can also say the same sentence by having 빵 as the sentence topic rather than as the object of the verb. So it's just another way of saying the same sentence. Let's take a look at two more example sentences. 내일은 날씨가 안 좋아. As for tomorrow, the weather is not good. 내일은 날씨가 안 좋아. 피자는 내가 주문할게. As for the pizza, I'll order. 피자는 내가 주문할게. So again, in each sentence, we've used the topic particle to introduce the topic, which are 내일 and 피자, and then use the subject particle to introduce the sentence subject. 날씨, the weather, and 내, meaning I. Now, the final aspect to learn with these particles is that these particles can also be used with other particles. In Korean, particles are called 조사, and there are certain particles that are called 보조사. And these particles can be used together with other particles. And topic particles is one of them. And although the subject particle is not regarded as 보조사, it can also be used with other particles. When we use topic and subject particles with other particles, their use follows all the different ways we have mentioned in this lesson. Let's take a look at some example sentences. 정원에는 예쁜 꽃이 많아요. In the garden, there are many pretty flowers. 저는 내일부터는 운동할 거예요. I'm going to exercise from tomorrow. 여기까지가 투어입니다. This is the end of the tour. 내일부터가 방학이에요. The vacation is from tomorrow. So in the first two sentences, the topic particle 는 is used in noun phrases together with the particles 에, meaning in, and 부터, meaning from. And in the last two sentences, the subject particle 가 is used in noun phrases with the particles 까지, meaning to or until, and 부터, meaning from. In general, the use of topic and subject particles with other particles is not as common. And particularly in speech, the topic and subject particles in these sentences would be omitted. Okay, so that's a lot of information to take in, but I hope this has given you a good overview of what topic and subject particles are and how we use them. As mentioned before, the first step to mastering these particles is to develop your understanding of what these particles are and how they are used. And after that, it's really important to read and listen to a lot of Korean so that you can see all the different situations these particles are used in. And the final step, of course, is to practice using these particles. I hope you now have a better understanding of how topic and subject particles are used, and I look forward to seeing you soon again. Bye-bye.